Rome is not dead. That may sound impossible. After all, textbooks tell us Rome fell in the year 476 CE when a Germanic warlord removed the last Western emperor. But empires do not die the way people do. They evolve. They disguise themselves. They rewrite memory. Rome did not simply conquer lands. It conquered time. For more than 2,000 years, Rome shaped how humans understand power, law, civilization, faith, history itself. And yet the Rome we were taught in school is not the Rome that truly existed. What if Rome's greatest achievement was not roads or legions, but deception? What if the most dangerous weapon Rome ever forged was not steel, but storytelling? This documentary is not about the Rome of statues and speeches. It is about the Rome hidden beneath the marble. This is the story they rarely tell. This is the Rome they hid from us. Part 1. The Invented Birth of Rome. Every empire needs a sacred beginning. Rome claimed it was born in destiny. According to legend, the city was founded in 753 BCE by Romulus, son of the war god Mars, raised by a she-wolf, a child of divine blood, destined to rule the world. It is a powerful story. Too powerful. Because archaeology tells a very different truth. The reality beneath the myth. The earliest Rome was not glorious, it was not divine, it was not even important. It was a cluster of mud huts, poor farmers, shepherds, criminals, runaway slaves. Rome began as a refuge for the unwanted. Surrounded by stronger civilizations, the Greeks to the south and the Etruscans to the north, Rome was insignificant. So Rome did what empires always do when reality is weak. It invented a myth. The first deception, divine origins. Romulus never existed as described. The she-wolf story was borrowed from older Indo-European myths. Mars was a political addition. Why? Because Rome needed legitimacy. A city of outcasts cannot rule an empire, but a city chosen by the gods can. From the very beginning, Rome taught a lesson it would repeat forever. If the truth is inconvenient, replace it with a better story. Part 2. The Erased Kings and Stolen Civilization. Rome claimed to hate kings. Romans were taught that monarchy was evil, corrupt, and foreign. They celebrated the overthrow of their last king as the birth of freedom. But this too is a carefully edited lie. The kings Rome pretended never existed. Before the Republic, Rome had 7 kings. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of them were not Roman. They were Etruscans. The Etruscans built Rome's first temples, designed its roads, created its religious rituals, taught Rome how to wage organized war. Rome's civilization was imported, not invented. The second deception, cultural erasure. When Rome expelled its last king, Tarquinius Superbus, it did something remarkable. It didn't just remove a ruler, it erased an entire culture from memory. Etruscan influence was downplayed, their achievements were absorbed and rebranded as Roman. Their language disappeared. History was rewritten so Rome could claim pure superiority. This was not rebellion, it was rebranding. Rome was already practicing what modern empires would later perfect: steal knowledge, rewrite origins, deny the source. Part 3. The Republic. The illusion of democracy. We are told the Republic was a triumph of liberty, a government of laws, a system of representation, a model for modern democracy. But the Republic was never designed to serve the people. It was designed to control them. Who really ruled Rome? Power rested with the Senate, elite families, landowners, military aristocrats. The vast majority of Romans, the poor, the soldiers, the workers, had almost no real voice. Voting assemblies existed, but votes were weighted.
The rich voted first. By the time the poor voted, outcomes were already decided. The third deception: managed freedom. Rome discovered something revolutionary. You don't need to deny freedom, you only need to manage it. The Republic allowed debate without power, participation without influence, protest without change. When common people demanded rights, Rome delayed. When they threatened rebellion, Rome compromised just enough to survive. This wasn't democracy, it was containment. Part 4. Conquest, Slavery, and the Myth of Roman Peace. Rome did not conquer the world accidentally. It engineered war. The just war lie. Rome claimed every war was defensive. In reality, Roman diplomats provoked enemies, manipulated treaties, set traps, manufactured insults. Once war began, Rome portrayed itself as the victim. This narrative justified extreme violence. The blood price of empire. Entire cities were erased, populations enslaved, cultures destroyed. At its height, over 1/3 of the empire were slaves. Slavery powered Rome's economy. Rebellion was punished by mass crucifixion. The famous Pax Romana, or Peace of Rome, was peace only for those who obeyed. For everyone else, it was surveillance, brutality, fear. The fourth deception: civilization through violence. Rome taught the world that conquest could be moral, if framed as civilization, a lie so effective that it would be reused for centuries. Rome didn't just build an empire, it built a template for political illusion, historical manipulation, controlled freedom, moralized violence. Everything that follows, Caesar, the emperors, Christianity, the so-called fall, makes sense only when we understand this truth. Rome was never honest with its own people, and it was even less honest with history.
Part 5. Julius Caesar, the man who broke the Republic. Rome feared kings. For centuries, Romans were taught that monarchy was evil, that kings led only to tyranny. And yet, when Julius Caesar appeared, Rome did something strange. It cheered. The manufactured hero. Caesar is remembered as a brilliant general, a man of the people, a reformer betrayed by jealous elites. But this image is carefully polished. Caesar's rise was built on blood, propaganda, and calculated deception. During his conquest of Gaul, Caesar didn't just fight armies, he annihilated populations. Entire tribes were erased, cities burned, over 1 million people killed, another million enslaved, and Caesar wrote the history himself. The fifth deception: self-written history. Caesar's famous commentaries were not neutral records, they were political advertisements sent back to Rome. He exaggerated enemy threats, minimized Roman brutality, portrayed himself as calm, merciful, inevitable. Rome didn't read history, it read Caesar's version of events. Crossing the Rubicon. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon River, he wasn't defending liberty, he was declaring that law no longer applied to him. The Senate panicked not because Caesar threatened democracy, but because he exposed the truth. The Republic only worked when generals obeyed it. Caesar proved that violence was stronger than law. Assassination, a failed reset. Caesar's killers believed they were saving Rome. They were wrong. They removed a man, but not the system he revealed. Rome learned a dangerous lesson. A single ruler was more efficient than shared power. The Republic was already dead. Caesar just made it visible. Part 6. The Emperors and the Science of Control. After Caesar, Rome did not return to freedom. It perfected control. Augustus, the greatest liar Rome ever had. Augustus claimed he restored the republic. He did nothing of the sort. Instead, he controlled the army, controlled the treasury, controlled religion, controlled public messaging, but he never called himself king. The sixth deception: power without titles. Rome discovered something revolutionary. You don't need absolute power. You only need undeniable influence. Augustus ruled by illusion. Institutions remained, but authority was hollowed out. This became the blueprint for modern authoritarianism. Bread, circuses, and distraction. Later emperors mastered psychological control. Gladiator games were not entertainment, they were state-sponsored conditioning. Violence was normalized, empathy was dulled, obedience was rewarded. The Colosseum was not a stadium, it was a classroom. The madness myth. Emperors like Caligula and Nero are remembered as insane, but many accounts were written after their deaths by elites who survived them. History was weaponized. Bad emperors became monsters. Good emperors became myths. The seventh deception: blame the individual. Rome taught us to blame rulers, so we never question the system. Part 7: Slavery, Surveillance, and Silenced Rebellion. Rome was not held together by loyalty, it was held together by fear. A society built on chains. Slavery was everywhere: homes, farms, mines, armies, government offices. Some slaves were educated, others were worked to death. Rebellion was rare, not because slaves accepted Rome, but because punishment was absolute. After Spartacus, 6,000 slaves crucified along roads, bodies left to rot as warning. The eighth deception: selective memory. Rome portrayed slave revolts as criminal acts, never as resistance. Slavery was normalized, resistance erased. Part 8: Christianity, Rome's final transformation. We are told Christianity destroyed Rome. The truth is far more disturbing. Rome absorbed it. Constantine's calculation. Constantine did not convert out of faith. He converted out of strategy. Christianity offered unity, obedience, moral authority, centralized belief. Rome reshaped Christianity to mirror imperial hierarchy. Bishops replaced governors. Doctrine replaced law. Heresy replaced treason. The ninth deception: spiritual freedom. Christianity promised salvation, but enforced obedience. Rome replaced emperors with popes, legions with dogma, chains with guilt. The empire lived on. Part 10: The fall of Rome that never happened. 476 CE, a date taught as final. It was not an ending, it was a transition. What actually fell? The Western emperor disappeared, but Roman law survived, Roman bureaucracy survived, Roman church survived, Roman culture survived. The Eastern Empire continued for another 1,000 years. Rome did not collapse, it fragmented. The 10th deception: collapse as comfort. The idea that Rome fell comforts us. It suggests empire's end. But Rome taught the world how to persist invisibly. Epilogue: Rome is still here. Rome lives in legal systems, political language, imperial borders, religious hierarchy, military doctrine. Rome taught the humanity how to rule without appearing to rule. The greatest deception of Rome is not what it hid, it's that we believe it's gone. Rome never stopped conquering, it simply stopped wearing armor. And the most powerful empire in history did not fall. It became the foundation of the modern world.